Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
From Ramsey Network, it's The Ramsey Show. I'm your host, Jade Warshaw. Next to me is George Kamel. On this show, we teach people to build wealth. We teach them to have awesome, amazing relationships and do work that they love. So if any of that applies to you, you can give us a call. The number is 888-825-5225, and we'll chop it up with you. We'll give you our best advice. Again, this is about your life, your money, and, you know, when Ken is here, we can do that career stuff too, George.
That's true. We can try to help with that.
We'll try to help. We'll do our best with that. We know a little something.
We have careers.
Do we?
We got here somehow.
Somehow. Started from the bottom, now we're here. All right, let's go straight to the phone lines. We've got Aaron. He's in Des Moines, Iowa. What's going on, Aaron?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Chilling. How can we help?
All right. So basically, for the past couple of years, I've been selling shoes on like eBay and Goat and stuff like that. And recently, I had a buyer reach out to me on eBay saying, hey, can I pay with Klarna, which is, buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
And when it came down to it, I made the sale. And that basically meant that I knowingly put someone into debt. And I felt weird about that, buying stuff, expensive Jordans with debt. And I just felt weird about it. So I just figured I'd reach out, see what you guys think on this. Do I have a moral obligation here? Obviously, no legal obligation. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let me think.
You didn't do anything. I don't want you to take, they chose to purchase shoes on credit. Whether it was from you or someone else, they would have done it.
And half the time, you wouldn't have known if they had used a debit card or a credit card.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So there's that piece of it. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I know I can say here at Ramsey Solutions, a lot of our products, you can, I think on every
I just pulled
dollar.
up our policy online because we have a whole piece about that. Because people go, Dave accepts credit cards. They're like, no,
he doesn't.
We don't. But sometimes we can't, the system can't tell what a debit or credit is.
That's right.
And so you probably can sneakily find ways around it if you wanted to go into debt to buy something.
Yeah, I don't think that's on you. I think you're trying to run your business and do your life. And if somebody says, hey, I want to pay on Klarna, and you're like, hey, you really should pay cash, after that, it's like dust the dirt off your shoulders and move on. If it's bothering you personally, everybody's moral compass, I should say, is a little differently. If it's really bothering you, then next time if someone tells you that or reveals that information and you don't feel like you should take the sale, then don't do it. That's really all there is to it.
But there's a lot of people in sales roles that are wonderful people with high character, and they can't define how someone's going to make that purchase. If you're in car sales, you can be a great dude who wants to help people get the right car, but you may not be on the finance side where you can be like, hey, you really shouldn't buy this car, bro. You make $40,000, you're about to buy a $50,000 car.
Yeah. We can't police people's decisions.
Unless you're in the lending business and the debt business, which you're not, I would still sleep well at night knowing that you haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah. Does that help you?
That makes sense. Yep, that's perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That was a good call.
And I know you're big in the shoe game. You and Sam Warshaw.
I am not big in the shoe game. My husband is big in the shoe game, but he makes sure that the drip is dripping.
Let me just say, some of your shoes, Jade, they're worth my 401k. That's all I'm saying.
There it is. They can't see it.
Stealth wealth.
No, it's not worth your 401k, but everybody has their live like no one else. So later you can live like no one else. And shoes happens to be mine. Let's go to Julie. She's in Dayton, Ohio. What's going on, Julie? How can we help?
Really, I called in for a question about my daughter. She's 1 month old, but to be honest, I've got other goals as well. And I was kind of curious about accounts that I could open up for her in the future, like the 529 college or a custodial Roth. Just some investment opportunities for her in the future that I didn't have an opportunity for when I was growing up.
I love that question. Go ahead, George.
So you're wanting to leave a legacy, and there's a few options here. Number one, as you mentioned, the 529 plan, which is going to be for college expenses. And I think that's an account every parent should open when their child is born. That was one of the first things I did when my daughter was born 9 months ago. So that's a great option. They're state-specific, but you can choose any state, which is really cool. And so you can do some research on which one is the best for you. You can reach out to a SmartVestor Pro through our website who can help you navigate that. Outside of college, the custodial Roth can be a great option as well, where they'd have access to it once they turn 18. That becomes their account, and you have 18 years of growth on that money. Mm-hmm. So what are your goals for her? What are you trying to do for her?
Really, probably, I don't know if she'll choose college, so it would be nice to have an account that she could get into as soon as she turns 18. So maybe that custodial Roth, it sounds like.
Well, the good news is with the 529 plan and the new Secure, 2.0 Act, you can actually roll over a portion of your 529 college funds into a Roth IRA. So if she doesn't use it for college, she's still able to use that money as she pleases in that retirement account. But remember, there's still going to be penalties if she withdraws it early before retirement.
And
so
then,
this is really way future thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And really where I'm at financially is like I have a house. I want to pay that off. I got married last year, got pregnant right away. So we're kind of in that new form of our life. I'm 34 years old. He's 32. But it's kind of ridiculous because combined we've got quite a bit in savings, and I've got I think a debt on my house of $317. He's got his house that he's got as a rental, and I think we owe $60,000 on it.
Cool.
And so
is that the only debt?
Our combined in the baby, which we're maxing out our HSA this year, so I think it's $7,000.
That's great.
That would be it. So our total combined debt is $384,000, and then we've got $143,000 in savings, which is kind of silly because it's not being invested or anything like that. It's really grown quickly.
If I were in your shoes, I'd probably hold back 6 months of expenses, and then whatever is left. You have a couple options with that. I mean, you've got these two houses, this rental. What would be 6 months of expenses for you? I'm just curious.
I think we spend we live off of maybe $3,500 a month, I think.
Okay.
So let's call it $4,000 a month for 6 months. That's $24,000.
Sure.
So if you rounded it up and kept $25K kind of as your 6-month fund, and then you look at it,
left.
You've got $118 left, which gives you some options. I mean, you could put it towards your personal residence if you wanted to. If you guys really love this rental, you could pay it off in full and then put the rest towards your primary mortgage. You guys have some options here. Are you investing 15% of your gross incomes?
Yeah, that was the next thing I was looking at. I think we're at 12% for each of us, so we could always increase that a little bit for sure.
Yeah, bump it up to 15. And then here's what's really cool. You pay off that rental instantly. That still leaves you with $58,000 to play with to throw at your current primary mortgage.
Now you're at $275 on that.
And now you freed up the rental income as well, and now we can really make some headway on that primary mortgage. So that's what I would do if I was in your shoes, Julie.
I would too. While
putting some money in the 529, while investing 15%, whatever's left over, that margin plus the proceeds from your savings, let's knock out that mortgage.
How's that hit you?
And then my other thought is keeping the rental. We don't know if we want to keep it or not. It's in a good area. We've got a good renter right now, but he just moved out. I think we started renting it in July of last year. And I think you have to be like 3 out of 5 years living there, and then you kind of have to figure out if you're keeping it or selling it. So,
well, I'd pay it off, and after that, if it's still a hassle and you guys don't enjoy it anymore, just sell it.
Absolutely.
And you can invest the proceeds or use it toward a different piece of real estate. I like that plan.
I like that plan too.
Good problems to have. They're doing it really well.
They're great problems to have. For $60,000, I'm definitely keeping that rental around, especially when they have the cash to pay it off. Because I know some people are like, shouldn't they sell the rental and use the money to go towards their primary mortgage? Not necessarily in this case. I'm telling people what I would do. This is The Ramsey Show. You are listening to The Ramsey Show. I'm Jade Warshaw. Next to me is best-selling author George Kamel, writer of the book Breaking Free from Broke. A great
Thank you.
one.
What an honor.
A banger, as they might say. All right, give us a call. The number's 888-825-5225. We'll take calls all afternoon long about your financial situation. But in the meantime, let's talk about these Ramsey trusted pros, George. Selling a house the Ramsey way makes home ownership a blessing instead of a burden. The Ramsey Trusted Program is the only way to find an agent that you can trust to keep you on track with what we teach here at Ramsey and get the best offer on your house or find the right house for you. We send some of the top agents in your area who we trust. You review their stats, you get to interview them, and you get to ultimately decide which one that you want to work with. So this is up to you. We do the vetting on our side, and then you get to choose from all the people that we've vetted, which makes it very, very convenient. Ramsey Trusted agents have years of experience and will help you make wise decisions when it comes to pricing, marketing, and making or choosing the right offer. So find a Ramsey Trusted real estate agent for free at ramseysolutions.com/agent. And George, I can say our Ramsey Trusted agent is amazing. She helped us move here. She helped our friends move. And it's so funny because in the midst of all the crazy things that can go on in the real estate world, like, you know how you want to make an offer on a house, but if you already have a house, it's contingent to sale, right?
Yep.
And all the other people will do these crazy things like, you should do a bridge loan and you can do this to get into that house. It's great to have someone on your side that knows what we teach, because they're not even going to try it. Like they won't even bring forward things that
they're not going to be like, hey, what if you did a HELOC and you kept they're not going to steer you toward bad financial decisions.
That's right. And so that's super duper important, especially if you're navigating something like real estate, especially for the first time. So check that out. You can find a trusted real estate agent for free at ramseysolutions.com/agent. So get into that. All right, let's go to Zachary in Indianapolis, Indiana. What's going on, Zachary?
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing great. How can we help?
So I am just wondering, what is the best way to get into budgeting without getting overwhelmed and giving up?
Well, that's great. That's a great question.
Are you saying that because it's already happened?
Yes,
Okay.
I've tried 2 times. Both times that I tried, it was a really stressful time period for me and my now wife. And so it was really hard to get both on the same page. But I think now that the waters have kind of died down, we're willing to dive into it head first. And I just don't want the same mistake to happen again.
What do you think was causing you to give up? Was it just you were overwhelmed with other things to do and you forgot about it, or?
So the first time that it happened that I wanted to get into budgeting, we just had a newborn baby that was born 2 months early. So he was spending a month in the NICU.
Got you.
And I was really head on about it. Like, I had just discovered you guys like a month prior, and I was on this big kick, and she was just like, yeah, whatever, I'm worried about this right now.
Well, you guys are in like a crisis mode.
Rightfully so, yeah.
Not a great time to start a new financial habit when you're dealing with something scary like that.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely. Thankfully, he's very healthy. He's been out for a couple months now.
Great.
But both times I've tried around like the middle of the month, it starts getting a little overwhelming, and I've kind of just given up looking at it and stuff. And
is it because, do you think it's getting overwhelming because you're going over budget? Because the hope is that...
Like, did reality not match your plan where you went, oh my gosh, we spent $500 on groceries. We said it was going to be $200.
Right.
What is causing that?
Yeah. So a lot of it is mainly like when I go to list like all of our expenses and stuff, halfway through the month, there's always stuff that keeps popping up that I didn't think about or something.
So it's the unplanned pieces in the budget. And for that, I love to have a miscellaneous line item that's sort of a little catch-all. You don't want it to be for sloppy behavior, but when there's that little thing, it doesn't throw you off the whole plan because you had a random $10, $20, $50 thing happen.
Are you using every dollar?
I am, yes.
Okay. So when it comes to every dollar, George is exactly right. I always tell people with every dollar, one of the 3 keys to staying focused and staying on it is you want the budget to be detailed. That's number 1. So that's the first issue that you're facing is when that month begins, you're really going through and thinking of every possible thing that you could possibly spend money on. I mean, that's everything from grandma's birthday to if your kids are signing up for sports and they need soccer cleats, right? Anything that you can think of that's out of the ordinary or that's going to be part of that monthly flow. And then the second thing is you got to be realistic, right? You know, now you're a family of 3, so your grocery budget might change, or there's certain things in your household that might change. Those numbers might go up a little bit. So really being realistic about the state of things. Inflation. Right? Inflation, not inflation.
I thought you just added another syllable. I was like, whoa,
inflation.
Jade fancy.
Inflation. That's something that a lot of people are facing. And as much as we haven't wanted to, some of us have had to up those categories. And so detailed, realistic, and finally just accepting the flexibility of it. You know, there are every once in a while going to be things that pop up that you totally forgot about. You know, it's your turn to bring treats to kindergarten class, right? And so you got to pop into Kroger or pop into Publix to get that. And that's totally fine. But I do think that if that's happening regularly and all the time, then you're missing out on number one, which is the be detailed part. So that's kind of the way it goes. And so I think, you know, once you're married, one way to really nail that is if you're sitting down with your spouse, because I know when I sit down with Sam, there's things that he thinks about and knows about that I would have forgotten to put on the budget.
There's plans I didn't know were happening this month, and my wife was like, "Oh yeah, I told you."
Right.
Remember one time for 3? Real quick, I was in the back of the closet and I yelled. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot we have to bring food for that thing."
That's right.
So that's how it goes in a marriage. So that's why communication is key. Sitting down, doing the budget ahead of the month happening on paper, using the app, and go, okay, what's everything we can think of? As the month goes on, you can be flexible. You can make tweaks to the budget to account for things, and maybe we spent less in this category, so we can add it to this category.
Yeah.
And so it's a little game of Tetris, but the goal is to have margin to actually hit your financial goal. So what is your next financial goal?
Getting out of debt.
Perfect.
Love it.
So the key is, hey, we said we were going to have an extra $500 to throw at the debt. Is that true based on our current budget and based on how we're spending? Mm-hmm. So is that where you're getting thrown off, where you're going, we don't have any money to throw at debt? It just disappeared.
More like, so we plan to put some extra money towards some of the debt, and we'll do like a little bit, but not as much as I originally planned. Mm-hmm. And then when we do plan to put a lot extra, we start getting worried about what if this comes up or what if this comes up, you know? Yeah. And
I like overshooting. I think you guys are undercutting your numbers. I think that you need to do the opposite and kind of overshoot them a little bit. Like it can be small things like utilities. Maybe it's usually $78. Just go ahead and put it on there for $80. If you think that you might spend $325 on something, go ahead and put it at $350. Like overshoot it. And I think for you guys, that's going to help you. And then it's better to look at the budget and go, oh my gosh, I have a little bit left over, than to say, oh man, like we went over in every category. And then does that make sense? Because it doesn't sound like you guys are, and George, help me out on this. It doesn't sound like you guys are just willy-nilly spending. It almost sounds like there's an accuracy issue more than it is you guys. I mean, am I wrong there?
We do have a little bit of problems with like just spending with carelessly.
What are the categories you would say we busted on these categories?
Yeah.
Is it Amazon? Is it Target? Is it groceries?
It's mainly like for me, I try to stick to it as much as I can. I mean, obviously, mine is my guilty pleasure's food.
Everybody.
So is it eating out?
Yeah, like working a long day and being like, I don't feel like cooking. Let's just grab something, you know. For my wife, it is we have a 3-year-old as well, and she is really big about, she wants her to have all the stuff that she never was able to have growing up. So like when she wants something, she has a hard time telling her no, or maybe next check or something.
It's a 3-year-old. They're going to have a tantrum regardless.
That's right.
And they won't remember mom saying no, but she will remember watching her parents not fight about money, having a peaceful, strong, healthy marriage. So that's what I would be aiming toward versus serving a 3-year-old's tantrums.
That's true. And I mean, the other piece of grace on this, which y'all know I rarely offer the grace, is you guys are in a crazy time. Like, you have a newborn, you have a 3-year-old. There are more times where you don't want to cook, and let's just be honest about that. So again, being realistic on that budget, but still making headway and progress on the debt is what you're looking for. There's no perfection here, only progress. This is The Ramsey Show.
to it. Check out Foundation and Personal Finance today. Go to RamseySolutions.com/homeschool to learn more. That's RamseySolutions.com/homeschool.
You're listening to The Ramsey Show. I'm your host, Jade Warshaw. Your other host for the day is George Kamel, author of Breaking Free from Broke, host of the George Kamel YouTube show, which is always popping off, George.
We're having a good time over there.
You are. I like when you guys invite me over.
It feels like we're unchaperoned and like in the parents' basement just having a good time.
It's a house party.
It really
like kid
is.
and play.
A lot of jokes, a lot of humor, a lot of good information.
Love it, love it. If you haven't checked it out, do so. It's on the YouTubes and you won't regret it. Let's go to Burlington, Vermont. We've got Allison on the line. What's up, Allison?
Hi, Jade. Hi, George. It's an honor to talk to y'all. Thank you so much for taking my call. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. How can we help?
Awesome. Yeah. So I've been with my boyfriend for about 4 years. We've lived together for 3 years, split our finances down the middle. That's worked pretty well. I did the bookkeeping end of it. Now we just found out we're 12 weeks pregnant, which is really exciting.
Wow.
Unplanned.
That's cool. Okay.
It's exciting, and we are planning to get married, in the next couple of years was the original timeline.
Hold up.
That was the idea.
Why? Why are y'all waiting so long? You sound like you're a great couple.
Yeah, I mean, we are. He was originally going to propose this summer was his idea, and now that we're pregnant, he doesn't want to propose because I'm pregnant. And
What?
I guess I get that, but
How do you get that?
Make it make sense.
It just feels like, I don't know. I mean, obviously I want to get married, and I've been telling him it'd be nice to be engaged before we announce we're pregnant. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how we keep our finances separate if we're going to have a baby and not be married.
It's going to be hard, which is why George and I are, if you were watching on YouTube, why we have these looks on our faces.
I am perplexed.
We're flummoxed.
Befuddled.
What if you just got okay, and I know this is not romantic, but what if you just got the piece of paper so the legality and those protections are there, you don't tell anybody, and then when the time is right and he wants to propose and do all the romantic stuff, you still get to have that fun too.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So we just get married and don't tell anybody, but then we have a baby and everyone thinks we're still separate?
Yeah, it's literally a piece of paper. Yeah. I remember when my husband and I were engaged, and you have to go down to the courthouse and have him sign the paper. Once that happened, I was like, wait a second. This is the real deal. That everything else is the party and fun, and nobody even knew when we went and did that.
I mean, everybody knows y'all already living together. They're about to know you're having a baby.
Heck
so
yeah.
I don't think this marriage certificate is going to really be the thing that shocks them.
Fair enough. Can I ask a follow-up question to all this then?
Go for it.
So if we end up getting married, which I'm really hoping I can convince him or, explain all of this to him, maybe play the episode for him. I've been living debt-free. I've got a good rate 401k. We've got a 6-month emergency fund. I personally have had that saved up. Have an additional $24,000 set aside that I've been saving for a down payment on a home.
Nice.
Again, I'm debt-free. My boyfriend, however, he doesn't have a lot of savings. We have a combined savings account we've both been contributing to equally.
What's in that?
He did just get a lease on a truck in March, which I did not love. It's a big amount of money,
much?
and I just worried I think it was $55,000
Yikes.
altogether.
Okay.
What does he make?
He makes $50,000.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Was this before or after you were pregnant?
This is before.
Okay.
Hey, how much is in that savings that you guys said that you had together? And I'm guessing that's separate than from your emergency fund?
Correct. Yeah. So the savings we have together is about $13,000 right now.
Okay.
And then I have my private savings of $24,000, and then a 6-month expenses on top of that.
How much is the 6 month of expenses?
$24,000 as well.
Okay. So good job, A. Have you guys had these conversations about your views on debt and managing money as a couple?
We have, and when we were looking for a replacement truck for him, I agreed that he needed to get rid of the truck because it was having a lot of maintenance issues, and it was time.
Mm-hmm.
He was upside down on it a little bit, but I haggled with the dealer and got them to offer us what it was worth, at least what the note was. So we cleared that at least.
Good on you.
But I was trying to get him to not get a full-size truck because at the end of the day, that was what was the big the big note.
But
right?
he did it
That was the
anyway.
big
And why
step.
do you think he did it anyway? And what was his
Because-
kind of attitude towards you, even though you were like, no, don't do it?
I think he just saw me as like trying to like take away his manhood, which was not the goal.
He
but
is
I
a child
think-
who's about to have a child. This is a problem. He needs to grow up.
Yeah.
He's about to be a dad.
He thinks it's like a great thing to have in case we need to tow something, or that's,
Just in
that's,
case
like,
we have
the
to tow
reason he gave
something.
me.
I'm about to tow him down to the courthouse for this wedding.
Oh, boy.
So if we get married, though, how do I get rid of this lease? Like, you can't just pay.
There's
off a
3
lease
ways to get out of a
car
lease.
note.
None of them are going to be fun. There's
Yeah.
early lease termination, which comes with a lot of fees. You have lease transfer, which is like trying to get someone else to buy your timeshare, or someone else takes over the lease. The last one is probably the most probable for you guys, which is a lease buyout. You pay the difference between the lease payoff amount and the current value of the car.
Gotcha.
Then you would sell
Yeah.
it. So you would do that and then sell it. Because a guy making 50 grand should not be driving a $55,000 car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Is the math mathing for you?
It's nothing. No, absolutely. I've like.
You're very
it's
financially
math years,
responsible.
like-
I'm hoping that you rub off on him.
Well, that's my biggest
I have
concern,
a-
Allison. My concern is, and I'm not trying to put doubts in your mind, but my concern is that based on what you said, if you take George and I's advice, like let's say you get off the phone, you think about what George and I said, and you go, yeah, like I want to get out of this lease, especially if we're getting married. My concern is that you'll bring that to him, and it'll kind of completely get like ignored. And that for me is, I'm going to call that a red flag for me, because finances is such a big part of marriage. And don't get me wrong, it's something that you work at and get better at as a couple. It's not something that just clicks on like a light switch. But I do want you guys to start having these conversations, and I want you to make it very clear to him how important this is and where you hope to be in the future, and that you want to be on the same page, and not you say something and he ignores it and does it anyway. Fair enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I felt differently about it when we did it because it was his note, but
Yeah.
now if we're like going to combine finances,
It's
now
different.
that's going to be my financial burden. to deal
Exactly.
with.
And so here's the deal.
Yeah.
No longer will you guys make decisions where you're both not aligned. If you're not fully in alignment, you both don't agree it's the right move, then it doesn't happen. He doesn't get to veto your vote.
Okay.
So that's the rule. How old are you two?
We're both 28.
Okay.
Cool. The good news is, the good and bad news is, you guys have got money laying around to get out of this lease. And I hate that it's probably going to cost you, and you're going to end up with, having to pay some stupid tax here, probably in more ways than one. But the good news is you do have the money to do that. And I would do that and sell it off once you can get out and get something much, much cheaper. The rule of thumb here when it comes to cars is you don't want it to be more than half of your combined take-home pay. So he's at 50. What are you at?
I'm at 80.
Okay. So we don't want this to be, if we take 130 and think half of that,
65.
that's where you're at.
Total for
Total.
all vehicles.
So my truck's only worth 10 grand. So if we could technically keep his truck, then if we were married, our combined vehicles are only 65.
If you wanted to and pay it off,
Here's the deal.
It's a lease though, but
Here's the problem. You're about to deplete your 6-month emergency fund and your $24,000 for your down payment fund to reverse his stupid decision. So the question is, do you want to have an emergency fund and a home sooner, or do you want to delay your adult life while trying to take care of a baby because he wanted his twuck? Right? That's the decision you're trying to grapple with here.
also known as a truck.
A twuck. Big. Is it a big twuck?
It's your big truck.
What color is the truck?
Yeah. It's gray.
Big gray twuck.
A big white truck
Yeah.
that can tow things.
Oh my goodness. Well, Allison, you're super fun. I want to be able
we're
to
playing
help
with
you guys out. So we're going to give you Financial Peace University for a year, and I want you guys to watch all 9 lessons together, and I want you to have a conversation after each lesson and get aligned on what your future money goals are, and get aligned that debt is not going to be in your future, because your life is too important. This baby's life is too precious to be playing kid games.
Mm-hmm. That's true, and she knows what diligence will do. I mean, she's sitting here. She's got
done it.
$24K saved. She had $24K starting her down payment. She's debt free. We know that this way works, and in some way, you're going to have to explain this to your future spouse in a way that's not condescending, that's not you looking down on him, but in some way, you're going to have to go, I've been doing this thing, and it's really been working for me. So your way hasn't worked as well. So there's some conversations that need to be had, and they won't necessarily be difficult, but they will be worth it. This is The Ramsey Show.
Guys, at RamseySolutions.com to get your copy of the Contentment Journal.
You are listening to The Ramsey Show. I'm Jade Warshaw. Today I'm hosting with George Kamel. George Kamel, it's never been better.
Some call it a blessing.
I call it a blessing.
Some call it work.
It's a little bit of work. But the two of us will be taking your calls all hour long. 888-825-5225 is the number. Give us a call, and we will do our best to give you the best advice on your financial situation, your money, whatever it is that you're going through, your life and money. Give us a call, and we'll hook you up.
And can I just say, our advice, while I feel like is the wisest for your financial future, it can sometimes come across harsh.
Yeah.
And just know that we want the best for you. I have no bias. I want you to live a great life. And I'm just telling you what I would do if I was in your shoes. And a lot of times that means doing really hard things that suck, that are not fun.
That's facts. And I think you and I together, because you're kind of a
we both tell the
no-nonsense,
truth.
I'm a no-nonsense. It might be, you call at your own risk is all we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I am very nonsensical.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the advice I give you, I'm going to tell you the truth as if you were my best friend.
Yeah, well, I think part of that, George, I think we're like that because we've walked through so many of the scenarios that people call in and are asking about. And so we're not just talking about it from head or book knowledge. We're talking about it from experience as well. And so there's
we have
a love
done
there.
and would do what we're telling you to do.
That's right.
Jade has lived it. She paid off almost $500,000 between her and her husband over 7 years. A lot of sacrifices made, having roommates while y'all were married.
Bro, 10 out of 10 would not recommend.
And there's some people who are single who are like, well, I don't want a roommate, Jade. I'm like, you're single. You're a 25-year-old dude. Get a roommate.
You know what? And that's what it is, George. I think there is a low BS-ometer. Like we can sniff out the BS very quickly, and it's like, wait a minute, you just don't want to be uncomfortable, or wait a minute, you're just scared, or wait a minute, you're giving a lot of excuses right now. I think we can sniff it out because we've been there, and we've had to work through those kind of mental hang-ups. Because there is a level of discomfort that goes hand in hand with walking the baby steps, but it's sacrifice now. It's that temporary sacrifice so that long term.
But it's weird. Most people would rather be in a low level of pain for 25 years versus just doing something hard for a season.
I think it's just the fear. I think it's a fear of the unknown. Because think about it. Hopefully this analogy works out. I'm going to go with it. Like if you go to the doctor's office and it turns out that you need a procedure in order to be healthy, right? But you've never had the procedure before. The first thing you think about is what? Is it going to hurt?
Yeah.
Is it going to hurt?
How long can I put this off for?
How long can I put it off? And in many cases, people delay the care that they need because of fears about a pain that's probably very temporary. And then after that, they can go on to live a healthy life. But they're so worried about that first, initial, what's it going to be like if they put me under? What if I wake up? What if, and just you're just freaking yourself out. But it turns out that we actually are very adaptable as human beings, and we have pain tolerances, and we can do hard things, and we come out on the other side.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yes, on the harmony. That's what I'm talking about.
Not great. I'll work on that. But yeah, I think comfort is the enemy of growth. And Michael Easter wrote a great book called The Comfort Crisis.
Yes, George.
And I think that's what America's come to. You hear these calls, and you're like, how did this person make these crazy decisions? Well, they wanted what felt good in the now. They wanted to be comfortable now. They wanted the lifestyle now instead of delayed gratification, which has now become a virtue. That if you can get there, you're going to have the most wonderful life of abundance and joy and peace. So just wanted to put that filter on. Don't call the show to justify your bad move. Don't try to bounce around ideas. We are telling you this because it's in your best interest, and we have lived it, and we would do the same thing if we were you.
That's right. And George just has a snarky personality.
I can't help it. It's a defense mechanism.
A sarcastic fellow.
I'm working through it, guys.
All right, Larry. Enter at your own risk. Larry from Lubbock, Texas. What's going on, Larry?
Actually, I need some honest opinion.
Yes.
I am struggling with the idea of staying at my current job, which would mean most likely taking over the foreman position from my current boss, or going back to my old job that has better benefits, better pay, but has proven to not respect their employees.
Oh.
Why would you ever go back to that? No amount of money is worth that.
I mean, you're right, but
Who cares about a 401k match if there's a soul tax to be paid? Every day you walk in there, you sit in your car going, oh, here we go.
Were you the foreman at the old job?
No, I was just a heavy equipment operator.
Why is it that becoming foreman at your current job is not giving you a pay increase?
No, becoming foreman at my current job would probably give me a pay increase, but it would probably only give me about as much as I would be making going back to my old job, which is I work for the county. I do road construction.
Okay, so foreman gives you the same pay as the old job. So tell me now, why would you not take it? What's the benefit in going back to the old job is what I'm saying.
Well, it would require me taking the job from a guy that, I mean, I kind of respect, but he's in way over his head, and he's causing a lot of damage to this county, and he doesn't even realize it.
At the old job?
No, at the new job.
At the new job. Okay.
Oh. So you're not, I didn't realize that. So it's not you're being offered this. You're kind of, is this you stepping up and kind of saying this guy doesn't know what he's doing? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, this would require me stepping up and talking to basically the commissioner and saying, you know, I can improve this place, but you have to give me the helm.
A revolution. Okay.
Well, what's wrong with just having that conversation and seeing what happens?
Nothing's necessarily wrong with it, but I don't really want to stir the pot if he's just going to kind of keep in the blind and keep with the current pace of things. You know, that would still require me morally to find somewhere else to go.
Okay, so he's the foreman, you're at your job. Who's between you guys that you go to?
Nobody. And since I've gotten here, it's been obvious. He's coming to me with every project, every road that we work on. Like it's very obvious that he doesn't have the knowledge, and he's relying on me.
So he's out of his depth.
And I'm tired of doing his job and not getting the pay for it.
So you're getting resentful. You don't like the old job. It sounds like you're between a rock and a hard place here. Mm-hmm. You don't really want to do either of these things.
I mean, no, my overall is to not do either of these things.
So what is your goal? If I snap my fingers, what would be true? Would you have a totally different job?
No, I'd still be doing this, but my own company.
Oh.
In private.
So what would that look like? Tell us realistic steps that...
Can you go work for another private company and learn the ropes?
I mean, yes, and that's kind of what I'm doing here, but the reason why I chose these is because it gives me the time off to be able to spend with my family. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, it's been hard for me. It gives me time to be able to spend with my family after a hard divorce and trying to just start over.
I think that plays into your decision. It's a bigger decision than just pay or a boss. You got to think about what needs to be true 5 years from now to where this is a sustainable life. I enjoy what I do. My family's taken care of. Our goals are being met. And that might mean
I could do that at either of these jobs. This is more of just I want to move up from here.
I think that you're limiting your options between this job or that job, the old job or the current job, when there's a whole world. You're in construction, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a whole world out there.
Are there more than 2 construction companies in the area?
Yes, but like I was about to say, most of the construction or contracting crews around here, they require that you work 7 days, 6-7 days a week. You're working 12 hours a day, and
okay, I see.
Time with my family is really important to me.
So there's a sacrifice to be made there, where you may not be able to do that kind of work if this is a priority for you to be working, 45, 50 hours a week instead of 70.
Suppose you treated that like a short-term deal and said, I'm going to go and work for one of these companies. It's short-term because ultimately you're going out on your own, and then you're going to start your own client base. I think if we look at this and realize nothing here is for life and nothing is long-term, then you can choose the right setup to get you where you're wanting to go quicker, so you can kind of pull the dock the boat close to the dock and make that leap into kind of being your own man on this. And I think it's very possible you're just going to have to zone into one of those options. This is The Ramsey Show.
Jordan kicks us off in St. Louis, Missouri. Jordan, welcome to the show. I don't have the show here. Let me flip back. There we go. Jordan, are you with us?
Yes. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes. How can Rachel and I help?
Hey, just wondering if you guys had any tips on staying forward thinking in terms of saving and doing everything, the way I should do it, but also being able to stay present and enjoy the moment.
Interesting.
That's a good question.
What's the pain point there? You're budgeting right now, currently, and you feel like you're not able to enjoy it?
Well, not necessarily. It's just I feel like, saving and everything is much more geared towards the future. But I don't want to stay. I want to be able to enjoy the moment and enjoy the present, but also be able to secure the future.
So that can be reflected in your budget. Do you have things in your budget that involve spending and vacations and buying things that you want to buy?
So I think it's more of just a general mindset thing than like budget specific. So it's like it's hard for me to shift gears from like future to enjoy the present.
Yeah, and I think that there's a time and a place for all that thinking and dreaming. I mean, I'm probably more like you, Jordan. I probably enjoy the present easier than I do thinking about the future. So I just know with my personality, then I'm like, okay, I have to set time to make sure that I'm looking at future goals. But I don't do that every day. I mean, Winston and I, my husband and I will, we call it dream dinners. I don't know how cheesy that is.
I like it. That's nice.
Might be a little cheesy. But we'll just go to dinner and be like, hey, if money wasn't an option, what would we do? And like some dinners, we like take the conversation down to, what if we lived in Montana on a ranch and we're like off the grid? Like it's that to buying a new car. I mean, whatever it is, but it's like you just let yourself dream. And then out of that, you really see, okay, where do I want my future to go? And then, then you kind of set money aside to get there and to hit that goal. But I'm not sitting there every day thinking, oh, what am I going to be when I'm 50? Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like I do enjoy the moment while having goals for the future. But I think there's a level of probably contentment, Jordan, too, of the present, of just being excited and happy where you are. And then when the time comes that you carve out specific intentional time to really think about the future, then you're able to be in that mindset. But I think you can turn that mindset off and you don't have to live in that on a daily basis. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's great advice. I do think I kind of get stuck in that mindset sometimes, and it produces a lot of anxiety. So I appreciate that.
What helped me, Jordan, was having a good, healthy mix of short-term and long-term goals. So an example, me and my wife, we want to go to Europe later this year. That's a short-term goal we want to save up for. We also know we want to save up to buy a upgraded house later down the road. That could be a few years from now. But we also have things that are happening this weekend that are in the budget that we're saving up for. And so I think having that mix makes you feel like I'm not just thinking about the future.
Yeah, and it helps when you're doing the thing for the weekend that you're present in the moment in the weekend and you're like, hey, we planned on going out to a nice dinner with friends. So when you're enjoying your nice dinner, you actually enjoy the dinner and thinking about the moment. You're not thinking, oh gosh, I got to fund my 401k to make sure I have this amount of money. You know what I mean? Don't let yourself go there. Because I do think, Jordan, to your point, that can be unhealthy and it steals the joy of the moment that you're in if you're constantly just thinking about the future and the past. Like I know people that live in the past.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's either the regret or the, oh, those were great years if we could just go. Right. And there's a time and a place to go back. But I think that there's a healthy mentality to be in the present and to enjoy it. So I think you're on the right track, Jordan. I think it's a great question.
Are you married, Jordan?
No, I'm not. I'm single. I'm 28 years old.
Okay. What I would do if I'm in your shoes, I'm going to find some friends that I think are wise and that I want to hang out with and go kind of dream a little bit with them and use them as accountability and use them as kind of that bouncing launch pad to go, hey, let's have some fun. I want to budget for some things in the short term. I want to budget for some things in the long term. Maybe they'll give you some ideas of what that could look like.
Yeah.
All right. Hope that helps. Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, appreciate the call, man.
You know, it'd be an interesting. I'm just doing this on the fly. If it works, it works. It's Friday.
It's all live.
Okay. If there are single people out there, call in. Because I do want to have a discussion about this quote unquote like accountability partner. So I say that because we talk about that a lot at Ramsey.
If you're not married.
And I kind of hate that word. Can I say that too?
Yeah, accountability feels icky.
I don't know.
I agree.
It feels like old youth group of, I don't know. So find a friend that you like. And the idea, and the reason we say this is because you don't need to do life alone. And when you're single, you know,
isolating.
All of your decisions are up to you. Everything from buying groceries to making sure the oil's fixed in the car. If you have a car that has oil, fellow Tesla owner there. Wow.
Right there. Don't leave me hanging.
Oh, I'm sorry. but what I'm saying is like, you're not, sorry, George. The decision making, you're making it in a vacuum in so many areas of life. So having a person that walks beside you to bounce those, especially those big decisions with, is really important. When you're starting out budgeting, having someone that's wise with money to be like, hey, I just want you to look at this and make sure I'm not missing anything crazy. And it's a very organic, natural conversation. I feel like sometimes it can sound so robotic.
Don't walk up to someone and go, will you be my accountability partner?
And see my budget every single month. Can we meet on the 15th at 3 o'clock
so
you
gosh,
can see
don't
my
do
every
that.
budget? But I do. If you're single out there and you have this person in your life and it's working well, I want you to call in because I want to talk about it. Because I think there's a really great way to do it that is very helpful and is possible, but it's not overly that it's not just like awkward or something.
Wow. Well, there it is. Rachel
fair?
just opened up a singles theme hour. So give us a call, 888-825-5225. Let's talk about this. Is good.
Because, too, I'm going to keep adding on here. Because I got married young. So Winston is I've had a husband for basically my whole adult life.
Yeah.
So when I talk about it, I know friends that have done it and I have a friend and she's great at having someone in her corner. But I always like to hear real life, how this works for people day in and day out and what it really looks like tactically. So, but for you, did you ever have a good friend that was that before?
Oh, yeah. Because there's friends that have been mentors to me that I look up to. A lot of people that work here.
Did you really show them your budget?
Yeah, we talked to the ins and outs of money, especially in a place like this at Ramsey.
Right.
It's unless they're making fun of how screwed they are with their student loans and car payments.